Hello and welcome back to EV Powered. I'm Tom Swallow and you're watching a first review of a new car from VW. It's the ID.7, as you can see right behind me just there. Perfect car for the business person during the week, family man or woman during the weekend. So let's take a look at the full specs. Okay, so let's take a look at the specs of this ID.7. Now, this is a car that's going to compete with the top level EV sedans in the market. This one in particular has around 380 miles range WLTP with a 0 to 60 in 6.5 seconds, if I'm correct. Top speed of 112 miles an hour. Now, that's plenty for the speed and acceleration that this is going to give you when you're having to nip round people, particularly on those dual carriageways. In terms of battery and charging in the car, it's got a 77 kilowatt hour battery. So if you're charging it at a public DC charger, you're getting around 80% charge in roughly 20 minutes. Obviously, if you're charging from home, it's going to be a lot longer. You're not going to be going anywhere fast. I love the shape of the front. It's a very sleek, modern, stylish looking vehicle. It does kind of replicate a lot of what sedans are doing in the EV market at the moment. Nevertheless, it does have still the sort of trims and design features that you'd expect from the latest ID range. Obviously, you've got the white logo on the front there in big, makes a statement. So you've got this strip light going across here, reaching across the whole width of the front there, and this kind of R-line style sort of shiny black plastics at the bottom, with obviously your driver assistance camera there in the front. Now, I hope for the sake of you as a viewer that you are a good driver, because you wouldn't want to curb these wheels, these 20-inch black alloys. You've got the black sort of internal section here and towards the edge of the spokes, a nice sort of silver finish there, much like a lot of the other ID cars in the range. So we've got a fairly straight line coming down the edge of the ID.7 and just kind of trailing off there at the end. Now, they've not done much with the wing mirrors on this one. You think for the sort of prestige that this car gains that they do a bit more with the mirror on there, but they've also got the cameras tucked in down the end. So they've also matched the ID.5 door handles with kind of a flush, almost flush finish, and the buttons underneath there, which makes it nice and easy getting into the car. So there's no clunky door handles on the outside, just makes that look very polished along the edge. So now we've got the sort of prestigious looking front end, but at the back here, it's kind of a more of a sporty feel on the end of the vehicle. Now we've got these sort of white and black trims within the headlights, and that bar kind of runs all the way across the vehicle. Black trims at the bottom and that lovely wide ID badge on the end there. So looking under the badge, obviously we've got the rear facing camera, but interestingly, it's not tucked away like it is in the ID.3. Now the design kind of aids that with the ID.3, but a lot of people have noticed that it can get dirty while exposed to the outside elements. So unfortunately, there's no space under the bonnet of any ID car that I've seen so far, including this one. However, that's not necessarily important, because you've got a massive space in the back here, particularly, as I said, for a daily commute or even a family trip away at the weekend. There's plenty of space in there, even with the charger hidden there under the false floor. So I guess this isn't really a very bold colour, but even with just the design alone, it's not really a shouty car, but I guess kind of the driver that's going to be using this vehicle isn't going to want that much attention. But anyway, with that said, let's have a look on the inside of the car. Okay, now looking inside the ID.7, I think one of the things I've noticed is that everything's kind of done a bit more finely. Everything's kind of tucked away. The door handles here, there's kind of a tiny little thing to grab there. It's not overly used, but they've just kind of really paid attention to that detail inside the car. Now steering wheel again is kind of the same layout and buttons as you would expect on one of the ID cars. Turn that radio off. That's another interesting feature. Nice little slidey thing there for the volume. The sort of dashboard screen is a nice little tiny strip there Just gives you the bits of information that you need, and you also got that heads-up display in front of you, which we'll show you in a second. So you don't necessarily need to be looking down there, but that's kind of echoed in front so that you can see that as you're driving, so you don't have to look around for anything. You can see everything right in front of you. Plenty of storage space. Now this bit, I was a bit confused by this to begin with, but actually it does close from both ends. I feel like most people are just going to try and shut that all up, but I guess it's quite a long piece to include in there. You've also got don't know what that is. There's a key symbol there, but charging for your phone in there. They've also got a cable in this one. I'm not sure if this comes as standard, but you can add cables for various different things. More storage in here. If your partner wants you to go home and pick the milk up while you're on your way, then you can probably get at least 4 pints of milk in there, I reckon. Now the display, it's got some of the similar features, but just a nice big screen in front of you. And actually the way that the car is designed, like you're quite low down, so it's not protruding over the dashboard, so that's quite nice. Obviously all the different features in here, there's some touch sliders in there, climate control, all the rest of it. Many different apps, which I don't think I'd personally use all of these, but it's there if you need it. There's not much really to say in particular about the infotainment system, but I think the real kind of difference with the car is kind of the seating position, and you've kind of got everything to hand as you would want if you were driving sort of longer journeys or out and about throughout the day. One particular thing that we have noticed though is the panoramic sunroof. Now in the ID.5 there's actually a screen that comes across, but with this one you've got like a frosting at the top there. Once you switch that, it gives you a nice little view. The grey clouds coming over, although the sun is just poking through. So they've obviously gone for a blue theme in this VW. You've got sort of an interesting pattern kind of embedded in the plastics there. A nice little sort of blue trim down here with the stitching along the side. And actually I think they've done pretty well with the materials, bar sort of a few cheaper plastics down here, but they've put them in places where you don't really notice them. I guess what's more noticeable is the seats. They kind of hug you with these little bits here, but it's kind of a nice suede, smooth finish. You're not going to get in the car in the summer and burn yourself on a posh leather seat. So in this particular model, the ID.7 Pro Match, you've got the Ergo Active seat controls down the side here, as you can probably see on the passenger seat. Adjusts kind of the height up and down, and you've also got the bottom control there that shifts near your legs, and the lumbar support there just to get the perfect driving position. Okay, now I kind of feel like I've booked in for first class in the back here. I mean, there's a significant amount of space. It almost feels like you're higher than the driver in the back here. Got plenty of armrests when I can get that out. A couple of cup holders in there, so anyone sitting in the back here can have a comfortable ride for a long trip. Little pocket down here. Climate controls on the centre, so when the car is actually on, you've got the climate control there and the heated seats for each individual one, except for the middle one, although you can have a middle person in there. USB-C charging, and obviously all your key sort of tethering points in the middle there. From this view, I mean, I can't see it because I'm in the back, but once that panoramic roof is open, I can imagine that's a really nice view to have when you're driving along, because you can kind of get a full picture of the world around you as a passenger. Now, they've done this in all of the ID cars. They've put this kind of little pocket up here. They've got the bigger one down here for storing things, but this one, we're kind of still trying to figure out what this is for. In the other cars, they're quite small, so you can only really fit your phone in there vertically. Now, if that was a bit shallower, it might work, but also if they hadn't stitched it in the middle, the passenger could maybe fit, I don't know, an iPad in there, for example, or even just, I don't know, get rid of this and just put like an attachment here that you can drop your iPad in and have your passengers watching something on there. But nevertheless, that's just our opinion on that piece, but hopefully Volkswagen can take that and do something more with it, or even do something less. Just take the stitching out. Why does it need to be there? So upon first drive, you notice how comfortable this sedan is, and it is very quick when it wants to be with that 6.5 0 to 60. Regen braking is fairly good. I'd actually say it's probably better than the ID.5. It seems to know kind of how gradual you want to brake, as opposed to the other one, which kind of almost stops you before you want to stop. As I said earlier, everything in this car is kind of where you want it to be, so all your cubby holes and everything, you can access them. without even looking out away from the windscreen. You've got the head-up display in front of you, which I can see exactly what speed I'm going. If I want to put it down, that climbs relatively quickly. The only thing I can imagine with this car is potentially the driving position. I quite like a low sort of, I guess, hugged driving position. It makes me feel a lot more comfortable when I'm doing longer drives. But for some people using this on a daily basis, or actually I imagine probably shorter people, might find this a little bit tricky to get in the right place. You can obviously adjust it with the Ergo Active on the side, but it's yeah, one of the things that I can imagine might be difficult for some people. Now, when you're driving this car, it definitely feels a little bit different to the ID.3 and the ID.5. The ID.5 in particular definitely feels like an SUV in the position. You almost feel like you're sitting on top of it, as opposed to kind of, you know, hugged and snug in the seat. I guess there's kind of a reason for that, is because it tends to be a car that someone's going to use with the family, for example. They're going to often be jumping in and out. But with a car like this, it's something that you're going to be sitting in for quite a long time. So I can imagine that this level of comfort in this seat is probably much more beneficial for the driver of this car. Despite our bugbears with the infotainment system, they have got everything in the right place in this car. So if you need to reach the screen, you're not reaching too far. You don't necessarily have to take your eyes away from the road, which I guess is good from a safety point of view. It also helps with the speed in front, that you can just see everything quite easily without having to worry about looking in different areas for different things. I mean, your phone's there, pockets are here and everything. So that's probably one of the main things I'd say is beneficial, bar the comfort in this car. So I hope with that you've got a higher budget for your next EV. This one is going to be around sort of basic price of £51,000, but nevertheless it's a good car, very sleek for the commuter, the business person and the family person as well. Let us know what you think about this car in the comments. Please like, subscribe. We've been EV Powered and this is the ID.7 Pro Match.